before my steps are to follow my mentors, how they build their career, but also to affirm my identity, because on a concurrent environment, you have to affirm yourself and get results. So first, getting result is the first step. Then you can bring some ideas and try to find new energies to make yourself more competent and being able to help more.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Sporting Global podcast. And today I'm here with Valentin. And Valentin, how's everything going? Thanks for taking the time.
Everything good, always. Thank you for inviting me at this podcast. I've seen some good people doing this, and I hope my conversation will be interesting and helpful for students or everybody who is watching and wanting to introduce himself in the sport industry.
Well, absolutely. I mean, like, it's a pleasure having you part of this podcast. And I mean, like, you have an interesting background. There's a lot of cool things we will touch upon. You know, you've been working for, a few academies already. I mean, like, you're still very young and a lot of experience, in the industry. You're doing a lot of cool stuff, studying at Real Madrid Graduate School, working, at Olynpique de Marseille, academy as well. So there's a lot of cool stuff we're gonna talk about. Before we dive into all this, I just wanted to, take us a little bit through how your journey in the sport industry began. Just take us, where did that passion for sports come from, and how did it all started for you?
As a young boy, I practiced soccer at a normal level, regional level, and when I started college, I began to run for the college team, and I practiced track and field. I trained a lot, and I got a scholarship to go train in the USA. So it was a great opportunity to learn about a strong training culture, strong athlete trained there, and are source of inspiration for a lot of international athletes. So it's now a good opportunity for young students to learn, especially if you are focused on strength and conditioning,
right?
Coaching. And so when I've been there, I started thinking about professional environment at high level sport, and it was a good opportunity to see how the best do. And coming back in France, I've seen some difference when it was about practicing with French athlete, and I tried to, as a strength and conditioning coach, to keep this mindset about what I learned in the United States and fit it in France with some athlete, and I got a good chance to do it. So I follow this stuff in soccer, and until here, I'm bringing the energy I received through my experiences there, and more experience in track and field. I try to bring this energy actually in my professional environment.
Right, and it makes a lot of sense, and I think what is curious, and perhaps in many ways, I guess a bit untraditional route is going sort of the whole strength and conditioning coach. I mean, you don't see a lot of people kind of going, I guess, in that route. Everyone want to be the head coach or something like that, and or a management role, and I guess where did sort of I guess your interest and that passion for being sort of taking this approach and this angle for you, where did that kind of come from?
So it came from, I think, track and field practice, which is basically a sport that is focused a lot on body, anatomics, biomechanics, physiology.
Yes.
So I was passionate studying this, and I see myself, the more I understand all this complex approach about the human body, the more I progress as an athlete. So it made me confident about practice, about improvement, and then about what you say. It's also a management position
Oh yeah.
because you have to bring the athlete to a step from a step to another,
Right.
and you have sometimes to find good levels for a young athlete, which is basically not the same for another, especially when they are young and they have all this behavioral stuff to affirm themselves. So
Right. Right. No, it
you,
makes
you have both approach to
yeah, no,
the
100%. And I think that's a important. And I wanted to like just hear your thought on like where that came from, because I think it's important for these students and professionals, young professionals as well, to kind of like realize, okay, what is your job is all about. And I think for people to have that knowledge about, okay, is this a route or an aspect that is interesting for me. And I wanted to like boost forward a little bit to like the current role that you're having, obviously strength and conditioning coach at Olympique de Marseille Academy, and let break down like some of your, I guess, responsibilities and some of your tasks that you're having, so people get in essence, okay, what are you actually doing in your job, like what are some of the things that you're have to focus on, and that it is part of your daily life in a sense.
Yeah, some special clues. Okay. So it's not an enigma, but I will give some special clues.
Yeah.
Sometimes it is because we don't have the truth in training. We try to bring some tendency of what coach have made before us and
Right.
bring science. So the main part of the job, as I said before, is bringing the athletes from a level to another, and you set steps. You bring a follow-up. First, you start the season with a medical follow-up to have a screening of the athlete, his luck, his past injuries. You have a lot of screening about biomechanics to see if one leg is stronger than another. Postural assessment to see to prevent some injuries. Then you plan your testing about the athlete, about all his qualities, strength, resistance, speed, assessment. You can choose, you have a lot of tests to see, but you have to pick some and continue assessing the player during the season according to these tests.
Right.
So a lot of the bigger part of the job is during pre-season, and then you keep training and doing tests, assessing with different testing, and living the human experience with the new team you are in charge of, with the new staff. And each season is a new beginning and bring a new energy to fit with, and that's what part of the job is, and enjoying the experience and the human sharing.
That's awesome. I'm happy for you, and it's a very critical job. And I obviously you have done like some similar role for Le Havre. Maybe I'm saying that maybe I'm saying that wrong.
Oh, that's good.
But and Getafe. But I guess like looking back to like working in 3 different academies, what have been some key differentiators from each academy that you're taking with you?
So I will say first the training culture.
Yeah, that's
in Spain. In Spain, conditioning is closest to the coach
right.
function, competency. You are more on the pitch. Maybe in Le Havre, you have strong athletes with a training culture that makes strong footballers. So soccer player, you have to get focus more time in the gym to make more muscle,
Right.
Depend. You can see watching the both team play. You can see the type of players they have and make an idea of how the work is in both places.
Right.
Then I will say that the facilities bring a lot of differences about how the job is done.
Right, for sure.
Sure, in Marseille, actually, we have a more big center and a lot of tools to use. So In sports science, when you have a lot of tools to use, you have to pick some and set a methodology.
Yeah,
So I would say we have GPS, cardio, so it brings different approach about the job.
right, right. That makes a lot of sense. And obviously, the culture, right, in each country is a little bit different. And I guess we had a brief talk about, culture in a sense before the podcast started, talking about Norway, talking about, all these, different ways where athletes are, sort of build up. And I got it very clear for me that you're, okay, this is something that you're really like, into and something that you're really passionate about. And I wanted to like, if you could, I'm just throwing out like a question here that just popped up in my mind because I thought it would be interesting if you could sort of like give us a layout of like, okay, there's coming in new player, into the, Olympique de Marseille Academy. What are some of the tests? What are some of the first steps that, has to be done from your side that, okay, the team is like, okay, we're getting in a new player into the academy. What are some of the tests? What are some of the things that, you have to work on with this player? Some of the things that, involved in your job to make sure that, the transition that they are kind of like, learning the stuff that they need to do from, your perspective, your culture that Olympique de Marseille, wants to, get out to this player.
Yeah, to bring the best of the player at first when he come to a new culture is make him comfortable.
Right.
If he's here, you have to build confidence about who he is and what are their strengths. So first you will target and assess his strengths and make him comfortable. Then you will go in deep on what he has to improve, but not saying him to that it's a lack or it's a weakness.
Right.
It's you say he has big potential. So when you have a new players, it's always about the approach.
Right.
So I mean, more specifically, the testing you do about a player for recruiting is speed. You want that's the quality that is special. I mean, in soccer and strength, neuromuscular qualities. You can develop resistance during all the season, have good improvement, but speed and strength are like a special thing. You try to find this on all players.
Yeah.
It can be running speed, but also screening speed on the pitch, how fast you look your opponent, the ball, and it's what you assess first for recruiting. I mean, I'm not in recruiting, but it's what make a talented player, and you have to see it also as a strength and conditioning coach, what kind of player you are dealing with.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, and I think I really enjoy what you said about just kind of like building that confidence and focusing on like your skills, like what are some of the things that you're really good at like right away. And I think like it's, when you said that, I was like, I think like, when it comes to like internships, when it comes to like, young students and professionals like getting into the career, this is what organizations need to do. It's just building the confidence, laying down, what are the stuff that you're best at, help them understanding that, and just, focus on a few things to help them, gain that confidence so they can, get a successful career. And I was like, it's technically the model which in many ways we should follow. We have to look a little bit into like how the academies are working on this, because I think it's a very interesting approach and a very important approach too, because in many ways it's very similar, right? I mean, like you have that mindset, you want to go into the industry, or you want to be a professional athlete, right? And you have like some skills, you have like some knowledge, but you don't know exactly where you're at right yet because you're so young, right? And so what is the best way to kind of like keep boosting it? Okay, we keep building your confidence and we keep like, fine tuning, okay, what are the stuff that you're good at? And so helping fine tuning that, I think it's going to create a lot of, create a lot of great opportunities in the industry, a lot of, great people that are coming up out of it too, and understanding that there's a lot of potential among people, and that can open a lot of doors. And I think it could be a very interesting approach. I mean, like it just came out of nowhere from me, but it was like interesting listening to you on this, and I was like, it's a really good thing that could be utilized from sports organizations out there, and like looking at how are we dealing with academies. And if you don't have an academy, like look at like how academies are bringing in these young players, because it's a very, in a sense, delicate yet sensitive approach, because young people trying to find their career, a lot of questions, a lot of uncertainty, a lot of things that you're not sure about yet because you haven't done it, right? And so I feel like it's a very similar like mentality that are going into it.
Yes, that's a point I noticed to myself. You have to bring the mindset you want, and you have to fit with the athlete. You can't act like the behavior you expect to the athlete if yourself you are not committed to bring this energy about dedication, involvement, be rigorous. So that's a point you raised that's important. So to bring confidence at starting in my position, as I precise, I came from track and field, practicing a lot. So I was kind of a national athlete. So
Right.
I have strong skills for showing to players, and for coaches also it's a good point, because a soccer player has to run fast, and so it's a good argument to have a lot of time to practice with players, because they know you are going to bring some good improvement.
Yeah.
So that's a good point to notice early. When you start in the sport industry, you have to know what are your strengths and what are the points you have to improve, and starting working on your strengths is the first step to make yourself confident. So that's a good point.
Yeah, I mean, like we just have to like take it on the go here, just getting in like some tips and insights. But I wanted to talk a little about the opportunity you have to do the masters in football management at Real Madrid Graduate School. I guess like what were some of the key lessons that you took with you going into your professional career?
So the Real Madrid Graduate School was, I would say, the best opportunity of my life, because I knew a lot of people who are working around the sport industry or in the sport industry. And I mean, the network, it's part of the industry, and you have to be an open-minded people. So it develops studying there my relational soft skills. And so it was a good experience, not as a student, but as a person, make me grow. I meet people from different countries, South America, who are knowing different approach of soccer there. And it allows myself to open my mind and saying that there is not a truth in football about training, and you have to focus on fitting with the culture and the people you are working with. That's a more important part, and that's what I learned there, visiting Ajax Academy, Real Madrid Academy also. And I'm really thankful for people I meet there, especially the director David Viejo, who is an amazing professional and bring a lot of confidence to students.
100%. That I'm glad to kind of like hear that thought process. And I think you touch upon something very important in terms of just that open mindset, right? In terms of like that, just understanding that there's a lot of people here from different kind of backgrounds, different kind of cultures, different kind of maybe ways of doing it. And I think like also that you talked about as well, like how differences you also have from the working with different academies in different countries and different teams and their culture, right? And so it's something to also think about, like say and you see this a lot of times now, especially in more of the bigger European clubs of younger athletes coming from different kind of countries, right? into the academy. So it's new cultures, new ways of thinking, right? And so if you don't have that kind of like open mindedness and open mindset, to accepting that, okay, maybe it's going to take them a little bit of time, to adjust. Maybe it's going to take them, you have to kind of like, go a little bit back step by step. And I think that's what you're touching upon here too, which makes it extremely relevant to your job and what you're doing in the academy. And I wanted to talk about, like, I guess, the inspiration, some of the, I guess, tips and things that you got along the way. And you said to me, like, before we, started the podcast as well, that, one of your favorite meetings was with Javier Malo, and he's obviously the strength and conditioning coach at Real Madrid. And so take us a little bit through, I guess, this meeting that you had with him, and I guess, like, what kind of tips and inspiration did you gain from it?
Yes, exactly, Oli. Javier Mayo is one of my favorite professional in the strength and conditioning job, because he is like a mentor, sometimes it's not about the skills, it's about the energy you see in people and how they do their work. And at the Real Madrid, I think he is doing an amazing job. I set my goals according to his career, because what I see is that it's a professional who bring a lot of serenity in his working area, which is really competitive when you are working at the top world-class club. So I mean, it's a person who is doing his job with a lot of confidence. And when you are still young and discovering new methods, sometimes you don't have the confidence enough to bring to the player. So I see that be a good strength and conditioning coach takes a long time, and when you are still young, you have a lot of to learn to get his confidence and serenity about what is your job. Also, he shows us his methodology, and what you can say is that it's really a well-organized methodology. Everything is set for the player according to the schedule, the annual schedule, which is in soccer actually dimensional calendar with a lot of games, especially when you are playing at the top level. And if each training day is not set, each workout, you don't have the result you expect. And what he made as planning coach, strength and conditioning coach, which is one of the main parts of the strength and conditioning coach, planning and assessing also, as I said, but a strong plan with a detailed methodology is the best train to put the player in and during the season, and that's what he made really good.
It's a really, really good point, I think, and I mean, like, just also, I guess, in a sense, from your side, just finding out, like, what is your methodology, and you will learn that, over many years as well, of just, working for these, clubs and academies and all this, and kind of like, what is my philosophy, methodology that I'm using. And it's good that you're having, these mentors, these people around you with a lot of experience that can, pass down a little bit knowledge, shoot down some tips and insights, for you as well. And obviously that's why we have the conversation as well, so you can share, like, your story, your tips so far. And I wanted to, like, you talk a little bit about, like, the goal and working towards, working for the first team in one of the top 5 leagues, and I guess, like, what kind of steps do you plan, to take to achieve this goal one day?
So as we talked before, my steps are to follow my mentors, how they build their career, but also to affirm my identity, because on a concurrent environment, you have to affirm yourself and get results. So first, getting result is the first step. Then you can bring some ideas and try to find new energies to make yourself more competent and being able to help more athletes. And also I think you have that step that athlete, this is the athlete who make you able to go to the next step. I mean, sometimes you are not ready to train the next level, and athletes can make you feel this because they are known during their career, a lot of coaches. So I guess it's a lot of about dealing with the athlete and following their process.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. And again, understanding that it takes time. It's a lot of, step by step here. And as you were talking about, like, it's about showing the results, right? And a lot of the job that you have is like, it's planning, it's evaluation, it's, making sure that the job that you guys are doing is providing results so the athletes are better. The better results you have, and the more aligned it is with, I guess what the academy or what the club is looking for, then that also leads, I guess, in a sense, them, perhaps, maybe playing for the first team, reaching that next step to play for, the main squad, which is, I'm sure in your, I guess, eyes as well, and kind of like your what you're working towards, every day with the academy players is like, okay, prepare them as much as you can as well from your side with the strength and conditioning that they can take that next level and be ready to play for the first squad one day.
Exactly.
I wanted to finally just talk a little about sort of like, I guess, tips that you have, and obviously you've been, working for in similar role, of course, but in different kind of academies, and you've been, studying in Spain, you've been, working in France, you've been like in the US, like there's multiple countries and areas you've been, and so you've seen a lot, you talk with a lot of different kind of people. And from your side, what tips do you have, for students trying to get their foot in the door and perhaps, want to take the route as a strength and conditioning coach one day? Like, what are some of the tips that you have for them?
I don't have big tips to say. I'm sorry. I will say what my experience have been. So
right.
That failure is part of success. Maybe in some cultures, failure is better. I mean, in the US culture,
Right.
when you fail, you find energy to another step, and that's what I found there. So so that's the main tip. If it is one, but also that you have to be involved, passionate, because if you do the work without passion, players can feel it,
That's a good point.
and you're not going to feel comfortable and happy at the place you are working in.
Right.
So be sure about where you put your feet in before sending a cover letter or something, knowing people who are working in the places. So that's an important step about getting involved in the recruiting process. So, and make yourself also an identity about what are your strengths, and bring it to the structure, the club you are wanting to go. How does it make feel to yourself to be there? Bring sometimes some emotion, and that going to this club is making you, sorry, I'm losing my words. It's a long time about talking, and my English is not as perfect, I think. But what I want to say is that you have also to bring passion and feel people that are recruiting you, that you can bring this passion to the work.
100%. I mean, like, you're a humble guy. I mean, like, there's a lot of good tips and advice in there, Valentin, and I think there's a lot of good insights for people to think about. And there's many ways, of course, like to build your career. And I think you're talking about like some very like key essential points here in order to take that step. And I'm like, that's why I'm here too, to share your story, share some insights on your journey, right? And then there's obviously some key similarities on what makes people succeed. And I think you're bringing up some really important points, especially, you know, going down the strength and conditioning route as well. And so with that, you know, Valentin, I would like to thank you, you know, so much for taking the time. It's a lot of fun, you know, having a part of this. And to wrap up, I mean, like I don't know if you know, but we have like this, you know, Sporting Global podcast tradition that we always do. And so I gotta teach you a little bit Norwegian at the end here.
Okay, with pleasure.
It's gonna be fine. Don't worry. So with every video we do, we always finish with "Vi snakkes," which means "see you later" in Norwegian. So that's what you have to say.
Vi snakkes.
There you go. You know, you're practically Norwegian. Great job.
See you in Norway. I'm coming.
Awesome. All right. I'm looking forward to seeing you here. Thank you so much again, Valentin, and everyone as well. You know, thanks for joining. You know, make sure to like the video if you haven't. You know, subscribe as well to our YouTube channel. If you haven't signed up at Sporting Global, you know, make sure to do that. You know, it's a great place where you can, you know, build connections. You can find great job opportunities, and of course, find relevant courses and programs from some of the best programs in the world. So make sure to check that out. And again, Valentin, thank you so much for being here and for taking the time.
Thank you, Oli. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.